Okay, ME322, welcome. What I'm making right here is a little overview of the class website to help you navigate and know exactly what to get for information you need to get to. Okay, so here's the class website. I made a class website because I think it's just easier to navigate than D2L. Other students have said it's just a lot more manageable, so I like doing it. You know, it's fun for me. I hope it makes it easier for you. Okay, so homepage, basically our syllabus. All the important stuff for the class, date-wise, I think, grading-wise, really, critical things I think are right here. I'll also email out a syllabus, but I think all the key reminders are right here. So there's a textbook and reference. Click these to tab down, tab back up. It's very important. There are a lot of those over this website, right? So there's a little arrow key down. You click that, collapses. It's how means you don't have to scroll too much when you go through these websites, I think. All right, so textbooks and reference. Same textbooks as Fluids 1, right? That's what we're still going to keep using. Works well, okay? Grading's changing because people are leaning towards a certain way, but just if you're interested in the grading, click that down. Slack channel, very important. You all should be on the Slack channel by the time you're viewing this, but if not, if you don't have that link, it's right there. So if you just grab this and plug it into your browser, it should say, do you want to enter this Slack? And say yes. Most of the learning in the course will be done right here. Right? So what we do, or how I do classes, right, is I assign homeworks and I have lectures and notes. And essentially, we try to solve problems, and then they're kind of difficult, but what I ask you to do is just post questions on the Slack channel. And then I answer them, or other students can answer them, and then we all learn. That's the best part about the way of teaching remotely, I think, is Slack. Businesses like you to use Slack too. I have a lot of friends at Nike or in other types of companies, and they all use Slack quite a bit. So it's actually kind of a learning tool that will make you helpful, right? You won't have to learn Slack when you go to a job, so people like Slack, so helping you learn Slack. Class meeting time, I'm asynchronous, right? So really, since everything's recorded and the documents are up there right now, really our class time is just, I'll be extremely active on Slack during then. I'll have office hours then every week. But other than that, chip away, ask me whenever, right? Slack's on my phone, and I get back really quickly, actually, to students' questions. A little overview. This video is going to go right here, actually, so I can't put the video in there until I record the video. Kind of funny, right? Other than that, here's my program. I know undergrads like algorithms to solve problems. Those don't really exist, but I was there. I understand that feeling of give me the algorithm to get the answer all the time. So I tried to make one. Maybe just give you a guideline on how to approach these problems when you see them. So read through that. Programming is a way of the future, so I always try to encourage my students to just really program more, right? Get that experience. Little tips for success here, just the top 5 things I notice that go wrong when I teach classes or other people teach classes. And they, at the root cause are really end up being these 5 things, I think, when it comes to like getting answers in these engineering courses. These are the top 5 things. Certainly I noticed people just actually give them in exams. A lot of professors try to trick students by giving the first one. A little bit about myself. That was me when I was a bit younger and I played in a band and I was about 20 pounds lighter, whatever about that, something about me. Resources. I'm just going to filling this up with links as I think of them. So, sort of helpful links. Links to softwares I think are helpful. Links to open source packages, etc. Just a lot of helpful tools out there or things that I use. Okay, so then that's the home, basically our syllabus. I'll email a syllabus as well. There's also the lectures. So the lectures, I haven't linked them yet. They're all on YouTube, but here's just your navigation page. So we should have 20 lectures. We might not get to all of them. But just a grid form. You're on a lecture, click the lecture you want to watch. Watch it if you want to. There'll be notes as well for every lecture that you can click right here. So each of these will actually click to the lecture notes, which you can download freely. Haven't done that yet, but I'm just trying to get this video up because it's about navigation, not content. So almost done with all the content, but I'm just trying to help you navigate, right? So watch your lectures, click this button. Assignments. So it's looking like everyone is voting this way. I have the other ones ready to roll, but it looks like everyone's voted for 6 longer assignments and projects projects have multiple choice quizzes for midterms, and it looks like everyone wants the choose your own adventure final. So that's what I set up, and that's what we'll have. Little discussions. Kind of defending myself. If you see this change during the term, I'm working on something, but don't click. There's no need to click it, right? I'm just preparing for the next term if people want the 10 shorter. So I'm just explaining that right here. If you want to go to assignments, you can go to the drop down right here by clicking here or clicking here, or you could just always go here and click these links. So I'll show you both ways. So you can just click that link, or you can go to the drop down and click this link. Okay, so homework, you have 6 long homeworks. Every homework is a Google Sheet. So to do the homework, you click fill out the form. You won't do the homework in the Google form. This is just how you read the questions. So I also give extra credit. So all of the homeworks have the same extra credit, and they're explained right here. This changes. For this term, I'm going to give 1 point extra credit if any homework is done in a MathCAD submission or a spreadsheet submission. And I'll give you actually 3 points extra credit if you do the homework as a Jupyter notebook. So that's just all standing throughout all the homeworks. If you do them that way, you get some extra credit points. So congratulations on that. I also have some difficulty levels that I think these homeworks are. You'll see this one pretty easy. I think it's 1 star, 2 stars. This one 4 stars. When people have a lot of problems with this one. 4 stars as well. 4, 3, 3, 2. These are just kind of what I think, but and actually they have a couple classes that have gotten some data on that to make it better estimates. But at the end of every homework assignment, so let's do simple calcs. You click it, you get to a Google Sheet, and I've just given you the problems, so they're pictorial, right? So you do them and in a PDF or a spreadsheet or a Jupyter notebook, right? Get that file ready. Make sure to judge this too. This helps me. This is how I get those initial star ratings. So make sure you do that. So look this over, do your homeworks, make them how you want, spreadsheet, Googles, etc., and then add your file when you're ready, and then just hit submit. So that's how I do the homeworks this term. Pretty simple, I think. I use the Google Forms because it's a way so that I can make sure all the homeworks are going into one file folder submission. I guess I could kind of show you that. Okay, yeah, so I have to do it this way. There may be a easier way to do it, but I like doing it this way. So every time you submit something, it goes into a folder, and I know exactly what it is. Okay, midterms. We're doing projects this term. So I had the other quizzes, but we all decided projects. So here's a little description of projects. When I do projects, I like to play pretend and do role playing, right? So I like board games a lot, so I like to treat this almost like a video game. So we play pretend when we do projects in this class. So a couple things, little minor things. Each of these are just kind of examples of how you submit a project. So how do you submit me the file, right? So submitting the file, I have this guideline. What you're going to have to do is you have to zip a folder. Okay, and the only naming convention you have is described right here. Really, you have to make a folder and a folder structure like it is right here, and submit that, and know how to zip a folder. Okay, so the only naming thing you'll have is up here. I give examples here, so this is how I want the file formatted, right? You're submitting the project as a folder, zipped, and then I take that. File grading. So here's grading, right? Every project has a little presentation, not too big, not too short. You're making little design calculators for projects and a little tiny report. It's not a whole paper you're writing, right? I really am looking for just an executive summary, but they're all split up between 30 points apiece, and that's gone over in this section. Group submission guidelines. Now, you can do a project by yourself. You can do a solo submission. Totally okay with that. I totally get sometimes people want to work alone, and these projects can be done alone, right? It might be the first time you see types of problems like this, but each of these would actually take me a day at this point because I've seen the type of problem enough it is, and I could get an answer back quickly. But if you want to work as a group, I totally commend that. I think it's great, and I make it easier for people to work as groups and reward them. So here is group submission guidelines. In this class, when you submit as a group, I like roles. Defined roles when you work as a team. This whole everyone shares things is nice and dandy, but I think there's benefit for people having defined roles and a way things go. So if you are going to make a group, you must abide by these rules and you must assign yourself a role. So every group gets one project manager, right? The project manager for your group will receive the lowest grade of all of the files submitted, right? Because you're the project manager, you're as best as the worst person on your team. And I go over kind of essentially ways to do that, how to do that right here. You're allowed maximum 4 analysts on a team, and I made that because really past then everyone's going to be getting in the way of each other. But at 4, you could have a really cool project if you had 4 people, like, parallel working on all the different aspects for these types of problems, I think. And again, all of the analysts will share the grade of that file, the calculator. Right? The project manager, you're on the line for making the presentation, which could be a screencast like I'm doing right now, or you could actually film yourself like on a whiteboard, but you could film yourself giving a PowerPoint presentation if you want to get that practice. However you want to do it. I take video files, a PowerPoint audio, something like that. Analysts, you got to make this calculator file, which I talk about. And then I have scribes, and you're kind of the writers, right? So I think in engineering, we don't allow you enough writing talent. So in my classes, I allow people to shine by making that a large portion of group work, right? So in a project, you have 2 scribes that make great documents and understand how to write technically, right? So this is not the easiest part. There's a maximum of 2, because if you have more than 2 writers, people are too many cooks in the kitchen. But I would not accept this role because you just know you're bad at math, but you can skirt by on writing. That won't be how this is, right? So, I mean, really, this is really for those students that feel they're great at expressing writing, but just hate doing math. And that's okay in engineering. It really is. So that's why I have this role. And it's a very difficult role. I commend anyone that actually picks scribes, because it's super hard. You have to talk to your analysts a lot. You have to distill ideas. It's extreme. Extra credit guideline. So I also give extra credit as well. So similar in the homework, you'll notice that you get extra credit for doing Jupyter Notebook calculators for your projects, right? And it's totally extra credit because I'm helping you gain some sort of skill to use later in your career. So that's why I made this. People like Jupyter Notebooks a lot, and also makes you learn Python. So I made the extra credit. You don't have to do this, by the way. You can submit your calculators any way you want, but I talk about that. And then the other extra credit for projects is to actually, as your report, make it a website, like I've done here, or other ways you want to do it, right? Google Sites are actually pretty easy. That's what this is made on. It's fairly simple. But yeah, 3 points if you want to make your whole report actually a website. So that would be like, you could have like your calculator downloadable. You could have like a video of your presentation right there. You could just make the final report itself like a website itself. It'd be really cool, I think, right? And you'd have like a great resume like project to share amongst your group. So I made it extra credit. Okay, so projects then are kind of described here. And really what happens is you go here, you click a data folder, and you download like data I give you. You get to work by reading this. These are just kind of, the types of engineering questions you get, right? And you're just going to use the equations and kind of intuitions we get from lectures and homeworks and apply them and try to give some type of engineering answer. That's the point of my projects, right? So you got to kind of read an email from your boss, and that's what this is right here, kind of going over what the problem is. What do I need, right? So right now, OHSU, I make these little stories, right, to kind of, encourage. Again, I like board games, so I think engineering can treat it like a game. So here's like the little schematic of what Project 1 is, right? So you're trying to get water up a hill to OHSU. It's for some contingency plans, and they have all this data. You're trying to tell how much energy does this pump require. Engineering is kind of figuring out how high up is OHSU, blah, blah, blah. It should all be in there, and we'll talk about this more in the Slack. Again, this is navigation. I should remember that. Navigation. Here's Project 2. I change colors, so you're reading Project 2, not Project 1. So in Project 2, it's a lot more hard. But there's another subtlety of Project 2, right? So in Project 2, there's like 3 emails that you have to read that are from like different departments in your fake engineering company. And then you, as the manager of another team, has to respond and say, I can answer that for you by doing this, 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 and then do the work. So there's kind of an example here. You get more data for Project 2. But it honestly is more than what it seems. And I did this class before. It's funny how people in the end kind of go like, I just way overthought that. And that's kind of the point I'm getting at. So that wasn't clear the last time I taught this. So I kind of actually gave a little, here's my warning for you. And here's like little hand notes of me thinking out like, how could I get them to? So I'm just like being very clear that, this is really the point of Project 2, right? Warning, warning, right? So You can just read that in the very end. So that's homeworks and projects. That's all the assignments you have. And the due dates. Okay, so then for the final, when you're ready for the final, you can do the final whenever. You can do the final right now. You can pick 8 problems, click fill out form, it's already up. So here's the final exam. You scroll through it. There are, you know, there's a kind of a funny, there are 5 questions that are false statements that you have to correct me on if you choose one of them in this exam. I have a type of questions. So this is each type of question there is. And to get full points like on the false statements, I tell you how to get each point for a false statement. For like a math question, like a workout one, like here's how to get all 4 points for like a math derivation calculation type question. For explain problems, there's 3 points, and here's how to get 1 point for each of those, okay? So please read this and don't just ignore it. Some people do that. File naming protocol. Here's how you submit the final. It's actually it's going to be the same as I have for the homework, but here's just kind of the same idea. And for the this final, you have to also submit like a cover sheet. So you're submitting a cover sheet that's like your own grading sheet that I fill out and send back to you. So so please put that in the front of your PDF or doc, you know, or a Word file, right? And then, so a lot of questions, right? Choose your own adventure. So many, right? And by the end of the term, you can pick whatever. And when you're done with this, you go on to next. So like after you're done with that, and you should go. This is just a class review thing. So make sure to fill this out. It helps me a lot. You know, getting data from students, right? This is direct data. I get data from the school as well, but I like to tune about, you know, what are the real issues. Yeah, so that's it. Those are the assignments. That's how to get to them all. Thank you.